Good neighbors make good cities. They respect each other and the environment they are part of. We all are neighbors within the urban ecosystem, from redfish to pelicans, from algae to live oaks. When neighbors change, the neighborhood changes too, and so does the urban ecology. Welcome to the neighborhood of Ingleside on the Bay, a Texas coastal town. New neighbors may change the face of the city or require new infrastructure. Sometimes, new neighbors significantly impact the existing dynamics within urban environments. Ingleside on the Bay has always been surrounded by industrial neighbors, but since the closure of the Ingleside Naval Station in 2010, the growing petrochemical industry moved closer and closer to the city's perimeters. In 1954, the Army Corps of Engineers began the construction of the La Quinta ship channel, connecting the Corpus Christi Channel to the inner harbor, the intercoastal waterways, the Gulf of Mexico, and across the Atlantic. The location at the intersection of these two channels puts Ingleside on the Bay to the geographic center of the seabound logistics that connect the coastal bend to the geopolitical landscape of petrochemical production and export. Two significant neighbors have shaped Ingleside on the Bay: water and oil. Both resources have been a premise for settlement and an engine of growth for many cities along the Texas coast. With the ongoing dredging, deepening, and widening of the Corpus Christi and La Quinta ship channel, a new generation of seabound vessels are becoming neighbors of Ingleside on the Bay too. These neighbors bring jobs, revenue, and people to the region, but also cause water, air, sound, smell, and visual pollution. As a Texas coastal town counting less than 900 residents, Ingleside on the Bay has constantly been exposed to environmental forces, from rain to wind and tropical storms to hurricanes. As seas are rising and increased ship traffic occurs in the channels, flooding represents the biggest threat to Ingleside on the Bay. Following a participatory design process, we'll listen to and learn from the communities we work with.
The industry is rapidly growing around us. We know that we have tank farms around, we have industry up and down this channel in La Quinta, and air quality, I think, is a key issue. We want to be good neighbors, and we want them to be good neighbors. And we want to be able to share data so that we can be a smart community as we go forward in life.
Within this context of environmental and economic change, we need to ask, how can we adapt Ingleside on the Bay to be ready for the challenges ahead? Let's design a vision with, and not just for, Ingleside on the Bay. Let's design a resilient waterfront for a Texas coastal town. This is Ingleside on the Bay, from Cove Park in the northwest to Bayshore Drive along Corpus Christi Bay in the south. Starlight Drive may be considered Ingleside on the Bay's main street, as the fire department and city hall are located along this central axis. Two restaurants and a private marina are located at the east and west end of Bayshore Drive. The marina sits at the mouth of a man-made canal along Sandpiper Street, providing direct bay access to about 60 additional waterfront properties. With only 3 feet above sea level, this is the city's lowest lying area, as the topography rises to well over 20 feet above sea level along Starlight Drive and Live Oak Street. Rising seas and increased wake activity caused by the vessels in the La Quinta and Corpus Christi Channel leads to flooding and shoreline erosion along Ingleside on the Bay's waterfront. The proposed waterfront adaptation plan addresses flooding in response to these two challenges: the topography of Ingleside on the Bay with low-lying areas along Bayshore Drive and Sandpiper Street, and the wake activity due to increased ship traffic. Both challenges will be accelerated by rising sea levels and cascading effects like tidal flooding or storm events. The Waterfront Adaptation Plan proposes these 7 strategies that contribute to adapting Ingleside on the Bay to the future. Reducing ship wake impacts, increasing shoreline protection, preventing flooding of major roads, elevating buildings and infrastructure, improving road networks and evacuation routes, increasing connectivity across the bay, and monitoring air and water quality. This adaptation plan highlights opportunities. The opportunity to make Ingleside on the Bay ready for the challenges ahead, while increasing the amenities, health and safety for all current and future residents. Building an additional breakwater and improving the bulkheads along Bayshore Drive could mitigate wake impact until 2060, with a projected sea level rise of about 3.5 feet. However, flooding can also occur from Ingleside on the Bay's canal. A strategically placed bridge including a tide gate could provide additional synergies. Beyond flood protection through the gate, a bridge could connect Bayshore Drive and Live Oak Street. Connecting Starlight Drive across the canal would reinforce this axis and its role as Main Street. Therefore, the city's west end would be on a continuous loop rather than a dead end. Linking Bayshore Drive and Live Oak Street also at the east end would ensure that all residents have at least 2 possible evacuation routes in case of flooded streets. In the area around the beach clubhouse, a living shoreline approach could be implemented. In the long term, raising the elevation of land and buildings along Bayshore and Sandpiper will be crucial. With an estimated sea level rise of almost 6 feet by 2100, bulkheads would have to be excessively high compared to the current elevation and could even prevent drainage. Most of these strategies are not standalone adaptation options. They rely on each other and can only provide the necessary shoreline protection until certain tipping points have been reached. Policy and transportation-based strategies can be effective in addition to build adaptations. For instance, enforcing reduced ship speed in the channels could eliminate the need for a second breakwater. A better integration of cities along Corpus Christi Bay through a passenger ferry system could create faster and more efficient evacuation processes. Flood, water and air quality sensors could deliver important data to ensure a healthy urban environment for all members of the coastal ecosystem. This waterfront adaptation plan has been developed listening to residents and locals. It is not the final outcome. It is the next step in a continued dialogue between the design team and community members exploring adaptation options for Ingleside on the Bay. In response to more than 30 interviews and focus group discussions, it became clear: Ingleside on the Bay is a Texas coastal town with a strong community ready to protect their beautiful city and its infrastructure. Let's co-create the pathway for a resilient future by adapting Ingleside on the Bay to environmental and economic change. Let's face the challenges of the century, building a smart city capable of defending itself and coexisting with changing neighbors in different conditions. Let's emphasize Ingleside on the Bay's core values of tackling problems together and preparing for tomorrow, always ready to think big. Ingleside on the Bay, a resilient waterfront for a Texas coastal town.